Hi guys! Alive! Alive! There you go, let's make sure this is right on. Okay, I know we have at least one person watching. Hi, thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Welcome. Actually, we're going to give everybody a couple minutes. I know, I can't remember if Aramis said that he was going to be in person today or if he was going to be online. But either way, you know, here it is. We got a few more people that are going to wait. I told them 7 o'clock. It's not quite 7 o'clock yet. We're really just kind of getting warmed up. And we're going to have a lot of really awesomely cool things to do today. We're accelerating. I think I mentioned before that normally we wouldn't be doing attunements or anything until next week, but we're going to be doing them this week if you are ready. And if you are not, that's fine. We can come back and revisit it a little bit later. You know, they're generally available. And then, of course, if you've gotten the Reiki Your Leaves book or either an ebook or a hard copy, or you know, stay tuned and we're going to post more stuff a little bit later on as well. You'll actually have your option for self-attunement. So if I'm not available, if Sarah's not available, if another master teacher is not available, you can still answer the call as needed. Now we're going to talk a little bit today about what that means and what that looks like, and that's cool. Don't worry if you're just joining us. I haven't gotten into any meat yet. We're just chattering, basically. You know, like I do. It's my thing. No. We've got Sarah with us again. We've got Cass and Steven. I think we're still waiting for some other guests as well, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Please, by all means, get your notebooks ready. We talked about it a little bit last time. This is a recap, in case you missed it. If you're better out than in. If you are just joining us, as in you weren't in class last week, it's really important that you have one single notebook, a clean, fresh, never written in before notebook. Would you go grab my purse, please? Thank you. I think it's in the office, maybe? I don't know, it's somewhere in there, but don't let the dogs in. Don't let the dogs in. Here.
Oh, no.
Right. But it's really important to have a fresh notebook, okay? So that's nothing that's ever written in before, because we're starting a new path. And what's really cool is you don't have to leave your old path behind. But this is a new one that kind of adjudicates as an adjunct. Words are hard. I've already been dipping in the Reiki today, so I'm a little high. We were on the highway in Dallas during rush hour in the rain in my daughter's new car. It's a little stressful. A little bit. Thank you. Okay. Excuse me. Because I got something for you guys. Okay. Who wants to count how many times I dropped the F-bomb today? Because we forgot. You want to do it? You want to keep track? All right.
Can we give her some
Can I give
Post-its?
the first one?
How many times I dropped the F-bomb?
I know, but I keep getting fucked up times anyway, so.
I'm sorry. Would you like a pencil?
Yes, please.
Can we have
Mechanical
Or you
Post-it
can have that.
notes so we can have her keep tally?
I'll do it, don't worry.
No, so like more than one person should probably keep track of this, so that.
Oh my God!
More than one person should probably keep track of this, so that we can, you know, because they're going to come hard and fast at some points. Trust me, especially when we really get started. Don't know what time is it. All right, it's 7 o'clock. It is 7 o'clock. All right. To what?
Sweet tea is a staple here in Texas.
It absolutely is. You betcha. No problem.
I
Here
didn't
you
know
go,
you
baby.
could buy it at the mall. I'm so happy.
Right, okay. So, and I'll mention this a few more times as we go through, but a shout out to my boy James. Fucking twat waffles all over the goddamn everything. Hey, that was one,
Yep.
guys.
I got it.
Cool. All right, so,
Stop antagonizing her.
so I want you guys to pay attention. And the rule is, and this is for every single time, you have to tell me, and it has to be within the first week, okay? So if you see this like years down the way or something like that, it doesn't count. But you have to tell me how many times I dropped the F-bomb in class, because it's that kind of class. And I've said before, I will give you a free book. I happen to have gotten a book for you. This is an unlined journal. It is very fancy. It is very cool. I picked up for you guys today. And it is for you to journal your journey. What's the other word I'm looking for that's besides? I don't know, something like that. See, unlined, it's very awesome. Leather bound, very cool. So sorry if you're vegan. I'm not sorry if you're vegan. All right. We have a lot of stuff to cover today, so I'm going to start with the soapbox portion. Now, this is well healed. Today is February 19th, 2019. It's a Tuesday. It's, you know, I think it's like a full moon tonight or something like that, like the snow moon. Yeah, so that's kind of exciting. That's kind of cool. Yay. Yeah, ooh. If you chat with me here, I can see it on the screen and I'll try to respond to you as quickly as I can. But there is a delay we have found, so please be patient with me. Okay? All right. So the first topic that I really want to, thank you, James. The first topic that I really want to talk about, something that came up today while we were at the mall. I was talking to a lady who was relaying to me that she had been through a lot of shit. Like her parents had tried to send her to conversion therapy, and she's in about her mid-20s or so. And I asked her, can you imagine what it's like to not be traumatized? Can you imagine yourself not being controlled by your trauma? Now, this is a weird one, okay? Because almost everybody will immediately say, well, yeah, of course. And then I say, well, what does that look like? And then they're going, and they got nothing. That's fair. Because honestly, what do you really look like without your trauma? When you're not controlled by it, okay? Now, understand that a lot of what we're going to be talking about over the course of this course is, self-healing, not self-help. There's a huge, huge difference. And I'm going to talk about this for a second, then we're going to get back to what life looks like without trauma. So the difference between self-help and self-healing. Self-help is usually where somebody else has had an epiphany, has discovered a path, has just happened on a wisdom. And it did this amazing amount of good for them, which is fantastic. And we love that. That's amazing. I love hearing about people healing and feeling better. But the minute you think for a second that the way you healed is the way I have to heal, we got a problem. Now that's self-help books as a whole. This was my experience, therefore this is your experience. Now I deeply appreciate the ones that say your mileage may vary, because no matter what, your mileage may vary. But self-help books, and I've read way too many of them, are very, very frequently sorely lacking in practical advice. And unfortunately, a lot of the advice that's provided comes from a very privileged place. Well, if you're in an abusive relationship, you just need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and leave. No, baby, it does not work that way for 75% of the people who are in abusive relationships. There are dozens of reasons why that's not going to work. It takes a lot of effort. And by the way, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, now we're going to, at some point later on, we are going to get into things like adages that are stupid and don't mean what you think they mean. And that's one of them. So I'm going to talk about that. How do you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? If your bootstraps, and if you don't have cowboy boots or work boots, you might not know this, but your bootstraps are on your boots. And you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps because your feet are already in your boots. What you gonna do? Start flying? It doesn't work that way. So when somebody talks about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, they don't realize they mean you're fucked. You can't go anywhere. You can't pull yourself up. Well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It means you can't do shit. Sorry. And that's like the cornerstone of bad advice all over the place, which brings me to the second topic, a related topic, and that is fuck positive thinking.
Fuck.
Oh.
Do I have to pause? Do I need to be conscious of my F-bombs?
We need to have like fireworks or something.
Can we just have a bell? Can we just have like a little bell that we press? Oh, do we have a bell?
Maybe? I'm not going to stop right now and look for it, but you know what? Maybe
Next week.
next week, yeah. I mean, are you guys with me on that? Do you think I should have a little bell to hit whenever I say an F-bomb? Well, for them to hit, not for me, because I drop them like nobody's fucking business. So, hey! Ah! See, I didn't even catch that one. All right. So, once again, he says no bell, it ruins the challenge. All right, we'll see.
It's true.
Maybe.
He's got
Okay.
a point.
Okay, that's fair.
There's just gonna be sometimes we're just gonna go.
That's me just thinking real hard. Okay, so fuck positive thinking. Positive thinking is a movement, and unfortunately, it has completely infiltrated every aspect of our culture. So you get positive thinking training in corporate environments and in school, and think yourself happy, and choose your emotions and choose your reactions, and I'm here to tell you, double barrel fuck you, that shit don't work. It is, and here very, very shortly I'm going to be posting an article that I'm working on with citations. Like, now guys, I'm gonna let you, I know this is going to come as a shock to you guys who know me personally, but when I post something with citations, well, almost everything I post is going to have citations. Scholarly citations. Researched, like peer-reviewed. We do not go to .orgs unless it's, for an example or something. But it's already been proven that positive thinking as a movement is bullshit. It doesn't work. It's, in fact, really dangerous. If somebody actually has a depressive condition, it can set them back, because the attitude of the entire of movement is you can, and therefore if you don't think positive, if you can't find the silver lining, then there's something wrong with you. And you know what? Sometimes things just suck. That's just the truth. Things just suck. It doesn't mean wallow in shit. Sometimes things just suck. Recognize the sucky parts. Don't ignore them.
Yeah.
Because that's what positive thinking would have you do. But also recognize there are other things going on as well. And we're going to get into monolithic attitudes and single-mindedness a little bit later. Let me go back, though, to the difference between self-healing and self-help. Okay, so self-help is all the books on the shelf, and you're reading the book, and you go, oh, wow, that's really cool. What is it? Live, love,
Love,
laugh. Live, love, laugh. Yeah,
Fuck that.
That's the one.
so basic. And I don't mean that in, like, the pumpkin spice type of basic. I mean that in, like, somebody didn't think that through very well. You know, it's not even a wisdom, because it's not necessarily applicable. But that's what the vast majority of self-help books will give you. Now, I have heard that there are some that are a little bit more edgy and stuff like that. That's great. Fine, whatever. I still don't advocate them. I love having the books. I actually have a number over here on the shelf that I use frequently as references, but there should only be textbooks on your path to self-healing. And that's what we are talking about here. I'm not here to tell you, here's how to live your life and everything's super cool and groovy. I'm here to give you tools to fix your shit. I'm also here to help you fix your shit, because the fact is, humans are not solitary creatures. That might be our next guest. Can you go check for me, please? I promise not to drop any F-bomb. I'm going to try really hard not to drop any F-bombs while you're out.
Just in case, I'll keep counting.
You got it. Okay. But self-healing is about you out. Oh my gosh. Hi. Come on in. Hi, have a seat. Over here, please. Thank you. Okay, so self-healing, the way we're teaching, the way we're approaching it, is giving you the tools to fix your shit, and also providing you a community and resources to help you fix your shit. Because honestly, nobody's supposed to do this by themselves. On that topic, we're going to talk briefly about the difference between self-care and self-indulgence. It is very much the difference, similar, between self-help and self-healing. Self-care is take your goddamn meds. Self-care is, when was the last time you drank a water? Self-care is, baby, put the phone down and go to sleep. You need more than 2 hours of sleep. Yes, absolutely, honey. Take a mental day, take a hot bath. That's great. Do not do it to the exclusion of your other responsibilities when you have the capacity to do it. And do not overextend yourself in doing self-care instead of actually taking care of yourself. All right? Bubble baths are great. Are you cold, baby? Okay. I have a hoodie that you could borrow if you so desire, if that gets to be too warm. It's a nice jacket, guys. It's a super nice jacket. If that gets to be too warm, I have a hoodie you can borrow. So, and yes, I'm looking at you, Tumblr. There's a difference between self-care and self-indulgence. Self-care, I totally support. Let's figure out what you need. Let's focus on that. Let's figure out how to make that happen in your life. Self-indulgence, you're just being a spoiled little twat and you need to fucking stop. Okay? All right. So let's go back to my original point, and that is, can you imagine what it is like to not be traumatized? People who have lived with PTSD, who have lived with trauma, who have lived through abusive situations, and let me briefly touch on trauma and PTSD and what that whole thing means in the first place. You can be traumatized and be affected by that without having classical PTSD, because classical PTSD is this one event, this one experience fucked your shit up hard, and every single other experience that happens after that is colored by it. That's PTSD. However, you can still be traumatized and not show the same classical symptoms, okay? And it's just as legit. And we do actually deal with it the same way, but it's just as legit. Okay, so but I do refer to them slightly differently because classical presentation's a little bit different. You don't have a single moment you can go back to say, this is the thing that fucked me up. Oh, I just said it again. But the problem, and again, when I talk about problems, I'm talking about equations. Okay, I'm talking about variables and variables and variables, and we're trying to find a solution. We're trying to find a way to let the stuff go, all right? So the problem when we're talking about trauma and being traumatized, PTSD, and living in that state is that we naturally want to compensate for it. We naturally want to get around it. We don't want to be weak. We want to be strong. We want to, God forbid, positive think our way out of it. And function as humans. And so we develop coping mechanisms, but those coping mechanisms may not be healthy. They take a lot of energy. Bless you, bless you, bless you, my dear. They take a lot of energy and a lot of effort to enact on top of fighting whatever bad voice, whatever trauma, whatever fear, whatever anxiety, whatever anger you have. And that's what trauma very, very frequently looks like. It looks like anxiety. Like everything freaks me out and I can't identify a threat. Or I'm angry at everything all the time. And violence is always an answer. The first answer, not the right answer, but the first answer. Or being petrified, clamming up, shutting down, melting down. It can go the gamut. And it can be, oh, I can do this. And you go and you work in an office for 3 months and then it's just entirely too goddamn people-y. And you start noticing all the people because the trauma is so strong and you've been using all this energy and you're just exhausted after a while. It's not a muscle. It's a battery, okay? And we're gonna talk a lot about the difference between muscle skills and battery skills. And that's kind of, I mean, really when you get down to it, it's the crux of it. A coping skill that costs you energy is a battery skill. And it's gonna be depleted. And you're gonna deal with people all the time. And it's exhausting, and you have to stay home and recharge for several days. A lot of introverts know this really, really well. But a muscle skill is something that the more you do it, the better you are at it. You don't have to recharge. You might have to rest for a minute if you really extend yourself, if you go a little bit further than you have before. But you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours, days and days and days recharging and to be able to do it again. Okay? Little rest, back to it. So we focus and we want to build muscle skills and relieve your reliance on battery skills. Okay? Is that a good analogy for everybody? Okay, fantastic. So can you imagine not being traumatized? Everybody who's watching this, everybody who takes part in this class, I really want you to really think hard about what that looks like. What habits do you have? What habits do you observe in other people? And I want you to look at it both ways, okay? Because we all know somebody who's been through some shit. We've all been through some shit. If you hadn't been through shit, you wouldn't be here now. Think about it. I want you to think about yourself, think about somebody else so that you have a comparison, and really think about what does your life look like if you're not traumatized? What does your life look like if you don't have your asshole dad's voice in the back of your head telling you what a shit you are? How is that going to affect your behavior? How is that going to affect your decision making? Because a big part of what we want to look at of our test in are we doing better is what choices are we making to improve our lives instead of fucking ourselves up over and over and over again. Train wrecks. Making shitty ass decisions with really shitty coping skills. It's when you have bad voice and you have trauma and you have all this shit talking in your head, impacting your decision making. All right. That is your assignment for this week. Okay, I want you to really think about it. I want you to write it all out. It doesn't have to be big. It can only be one thing. You don't have to go through, and then when I was 3.5 years old, you know, I won't read that. Unless it's really hilarious. And my bar for that is super high, so just keep it brief. But if you start coming up with more and more, oh, and if this happened and this, and if I did this and this, if I didn't have to worry about, can I use your driving thing as an example? If I didn't have my dad's screaming, angry voice in my head telling me what a shit driver I am and telling me how terrible I am at this, maybe I could enjoy the freedom to go out on the highway, to drive without freaking out, to get off the brake sometimes and actually let my car do car things. Crazy. But it's a real concern, and I would be amazed if that wasn't something on everybody's list at some point or another. Because driving is something that if you've had a bad experience learning how to drive, that's going to stick with you. I mean, really. There is nothing more dangerous on this planet than an anxious driver. So also, by the way, if you guys have problems with that, let me know. I have a very, very easy, quick, we can get that shit knocked out super fast protocol for it. Okay. Speaking of protocols, anybody who has food texture issues, okay? And this offer is good for, I'm going to say 2 weeks. So it's the 19th, so the 33rd of February. The 33rd of February?
Yes.
March 5th or 4th?
5th.
The 4th.
No, because this isn't a leap year. It's going to be 28 days, right?
I have no concept of
March
time.
5th, something like that. Anyway,
Yes.
the next 2 weeks or so, if you have food texture issues, please contact me because I am developing a protocol and I need people to test on. Very, very promising and exciting results to start with. So,
I had mashed
kind of awesome.
potatoes.
She had mashed, and didn't get ooked out. It was really weird. But we're not going to talk about all that right now. It's really, really neat. But I need more people to work with on that. All right. So, okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, does anybody have any questions so far? I'm going to give you a minute because I know there's a lag on the chat. It doesn't look like it. Everybody's dancing over here. I don't know if you guys can hear the music, but it's pretty hilarious. It's elevative dance.
It's a bop.
It is a bop. And it's okay, I don't mind. She bop.
It's like space elevator
Bop.
music.
He bop.
Wombo.
Okay. Anyway.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're just at, we're about a half hour into it. So we're going to get back to the actual Reiki parts. Okay? You guys ready? All right. Just for today, I will anger not. Just for today, I will worry not. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will treat myself and all living things with compassion and respect. Super, super brief overview. Just for today, I will anger not. Anger is your signpost. We're going to get into this a little bit more in a later session when we're really talking about mental and emotional health, but I do want to say there are no negative emotions in terms of bad emotions, but there are emotions that definitely don't get to drive. All emotions actually should not be allowed to drive. Even the good ones, okay? So understand from this point on, and I'll probably make this disclaimer repeatedly, when I talk about negative emotions, I talk about the ones that are fear-based, the ones that are sad, that are angry, that are on that side. And then when I talk about positive emotions, it's happy, elation, everything like that.
Consider a live stream, but what do I serve for sausage?
Macaroni and cheese. What on earth, my son? What did you think you were going to serve?
So my brain kind of thought you said chips or something.
Nope.
You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, chips. That's fine. I have 0 fucks to give on it.
Ding.
It's 2.
Go. Mac and cheese later, hon. Ooh, I'll make some for us to have while we're watching our show tonight.
Yes!
Gosh, that'll be amazing. All right, so just for today, I will anger not. There are no bad emotions, but they don't get to drive, is really the important part of it. I will anger not. When you feel anger, you go, oh, thank you, anger. I really appreciate you pointing this out to me. And it's always pointing to an external threat. Oh, but I get angry at myself, at an action, at a thought, things like that. But your impulse is always an externally facing emotion or energy, okay? Anger goes out. It doesn't get to decide what you do with your body, with your energy, with anything like that. Thank you for pointing out this. Thank you for pointing out that I still feel guilty about that one time I accidentally kicked a dog when I was 9. Shut up.
No, I did that earlier today and I still
Just for today, I will anger not. Resolve it. It's your signpost. Don't live in it. Don't let it drive. Don't let it make your decisions. And likewise, don't consciously and deliberately piss anybody else off. I'm looking at you, Tumblr. So I think that's just going to be my new thing because, oh my gosh.
I love recurring jokes.
Jokes? Anyway, likewise, just for today, I will worry not. Where's the threat that we think we perceive? Okay? What might happen? So, in a very general sense, anger is about something we can identify. Yes, this happened. Yes, this is going to happen. Yes, this did happen. Worry is about the unknown. Is about what if that happened, or what does this person think about this thing that I did when I was 9, or what happens about the future, or how am I going to pay for this today, or things like that. Again, points to things that need to be resolved. Thank you, worry. I appreciate that. Don't give anybody else a reason to stress out about you, which 9 times out of 10 is resolvable with, big word here, guys, communication. 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 Okay? Just for today, I will be grateful. Now, we got into it a little bit last time, and I'm still waiting for everybody's assignments to see what y'all decided was worthy of being grateful, or what was weird to feel grateful for, which you don't think you could be grateful for. Grateful means I recognize the value of the thing. And I'm going to try to find something positive about it. Did we talk about the Holocaust last time?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the classic one. Even things that are negative, I will not ever say everything happens for a reason, unless I'm going to follow it up with And that reason is that you're stupid and you make dumb choices. Things happen. Yes, there is a whole string of causality that leads to an event occurring. But to insist on imbuing every single negative event with some sort of mystical destiny level bullshit, fuck that. That comes from positive thinking. No. Okay? Now, I say this, let me give you guys a little bit of context. For those that don't know, I'm sure that most of you do. About 13 years ago, I was enormously pregnant with my son Toby, and he died. I had a feeling something was wrong, but medically speaking, there just wasn't anything wrong until he was, dead. Okay, it's the worst club to be in, but nothing pissed me off more than those people who came up to me and said, everything happens for a reason. And I'm like, you know what? Everything happens, but there was no fucking reason for this. It was an accident, literally a cord accident. Now, we found out with Daniel's pregnancy that that's actually, there's like whole big risk factors that could have been traced that nobody knew about. But just because we were able to use the data from Toby's birth, or Toby's condition and Toby's death, to take part in this other study and save Daniel's life, doesn't mean that my son died because there was this other study going on. That's just what we chose to use as the benefit, okay? We chose to make our tragedy make sense to other people and to help other people. That's the difference between, I appreciate that this happened and I understand that this is going to have these consequences as time goes on, and everything happens for a reason. And that reason is fuck you. Be grateful. If things are hard, if things are tough, look around and see what you can do to benefit from it, to benefit it. And those are two different things. So benefit from, I get something from this. Benefit it, I'm going to help the situation in some way, shape, or form, or learn from. As your guide and as your friend here, I am here to help you whenever you need it. Drop me a line. You can catch me over on Alchemy Art on Facebook. We're here for you, and we're going to have a lot more things. Oh, crap! I totally forgot the big announcement. Shit. All right, I'll say it after this. Because just for today, I will do my work honestly. That means I'm going to be in my now. In fact, I was so in my now, I forgot about my half an hour ago. And we'll get to it in a second. Shut up! I know things! Andy!
I was actually just going to ask you to pass me that on a marker so I could be like,
You should have been to the whiteboard.
Oh, I didn't do the whiteboard. I'm sorry.
next week.
Next week. I don't know if we're going to, well, we might. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many times we need the whiteboard. I'll figure out a way to maybe make it temporary as needed. I have printouts, so we're good. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. I'm going to be where I am right now. I'm not worried about what I could be doing otherwise. I'm not going to be worried about what I'm doing after work. I am right here, right now. I'm not going to worry about, and when I'm playing video games, I'm in my video games. I have my timer set because ADHD, if I don't have a timer set, I'm going to be there all frickin' night and nobody needs that because I'm a grumpy bear with no sleep. Do your work honestly. I'm not going to belabor this one too much because I think I went into it pretty deep last time. Just for today, I will treat myself and all living things with compassion and respect. If I am a steaming shit show, I can't help anybody else. You can't help anybody else. Yourself and all living things with compassion and respect. What can we do to help you? And how can I recognize who and what you are right now? Compassion and respect. Here's the big announcement. I finally got my shit in one sock and remembered what I planned to do in the first place, and that is that I set up a Patreon because, and this is my shameless plug for a moment, it's just Alchemias, ALCHEMIAS on Patreon, and because this is not free to produce. It takes my time, a lot of time. There's a lot of materials that I'm producing for you guys, that I'm preparing, a lot of research that I'm doing to make sure that I deliver you guys the absolute best stuff no matter what. And this might be a really easy way for you to throw in your support without having to think about it too much. There's a couple of different tiers, and as more people get involved, then we're actually going to expand exactly what you guys get out of every session or every membership. So that's cool. Now, let's get into the actual, real, honest to goodness practice of Reiki, because Reiki is not the 5 principles. The 5 principles are just a really good foundation so you understand what kind of energy and what kind of message is being brought to you. Reiki is best described as, of course, universal life energy, but it's really kind of a consciousness. It is an awareness that you receive, that you're friends with. When you get a Reiki attunement, it's like this radio inside you is tuned to the Reiki station, you know? And I really like using the radio analogy a lot. When we start talking about mental health issues and things like that, we're going to talk about, you know, which radio stations do you have programmed? You know, do you have the I'm an asshole station programmed? Do you have the I'm a pathetic weakling station programmed? Do you have the I'm the biggest, baddest bitch program? You know, whatever. But you will also have the Reiki station programmed. And what's cool about the Reiki station is that it's permanent. It stays on all the time. But it doesn't supersede any of the others unless you want it to. It's a very, very important thing. When you have Reiki, when you're attuned to Reiki, you can call on it and you activate it by however you want to. I have one student who used Reiki powers activate. Shape of a human. And if you guys get that, then like so many freaking cool points. I usually say, Reiki, please attend me, or I just think about the sensation of Reiki and woof, there it is. It's with me. When you are using it for yourself in the first degree, the way we're teaching it here, it's very much like this warm blanket. Well, for me, it's a warm blanket. Your experience is actually going to vary, but in general, it's this enveloping sensation of just peace and calm, all right? When you are with someone with whom you want to connect, or with whom Reiki says, hey, let's connect, your hands catch on fire. And I warn you about this right now before we do the attunements later on, because the hands catching, oh wow, hands catching on fire. Hands catching on fire is kind of an indication in much the same way that your emotions are signposts. It says, hey, something's going on, I need to pay attention. Who needs help? Who needs listening? And it doesn't mean you go and give them Reiki. Don't do that. It just says that they need your attention, okay? Or that something's going on. Some people experience Reiki as a warm blanket. Some people experience it as a cool kind of crackly, staticky thing. Some people experience it like cool water. Didn't you say yours was like a whoosh heady thing? Mm-hmm. And so your next assignment, the next part that I'm going to want from you, and this is, of course, if you're just along for the ride, and it's not a big deal. You don't have to do the homework, but you will get a certificate of completion, which will bring you lots of really cool things in the end if you do all the homework assignments and everything. Is after your attunement, if you so choose to receive it tonight, tell me what it feels like. Tell me how it works for you. What phrase are you going to be using to activate it? And it's not like you're guessing something. You choose it. It's your choice. You are when you have Reiki for yourself, it works by intention. Okay? Now it's always with you. It's never going to abandon you. You could not use it for a few years, and it's still there. And all you have to go is, hey, wasn't I attuned to Reiki once? Oh, why yes, so I was. You said the magic word. And it shows up. Why would you want to use Reiki just for yourself? A few different reasons. And I insist on this. One, you want it to be just for you because Reiki is a healing energy. It is a comforting energy. It is, and we're going to talk, I'm actually going to show you the symbols and everything like that here in just a minute. Oh, I remember what it was. One of the things that I have taught most of my first level students is how to make the bubble with Reiki, okay? Now, Reiki operates mainly with visualization and intention. Now, not everybody's good at visualizing like fresh new things, but you can use whatever imagery you want. You can use pictures, you can use sensations, whatever. But one of the ones that I insist on them learning first is the bubble. And it is a very powerful protective sphere. Now, it's not like we're getting into the lesser key of Solomon or anything like that and banishing rituals and anything like that. It's just a little bubble of protection, okay? It's just a little force field. And I had one student who taught college, and she would come home every day utterly freaking exhausted, like sleeping 12 hours, and she loved teaching. Absolutely adored it, but she was not, and it took her a while to figure it out. There was a guy in her class, I think it was a guy, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a guy, who was in her class who was just at her constantly and interrupted her flow and asked stupid questions and just like, it just really drained her to the point where she almost didn't want to go back to class anymore to teach her class that she had been studying her whole life and teach. I'm like, hey, remember, honey, you've got Reiki. Bubble? Weirdest thing in the world. She's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. So she goes to class, she puts up her bubble, the guy starts at her, and she suddenly doesn't have the impulse to answer every stupid bullshit question he's got. It's like, that's fine. Why don't you think on that? And she felt great. What was really weird is the next class, he didn't show up. He wasn't getting his cookies anymore. So he wasn't gonna show up. Fine, fuck it, whatever. Coincidence? Maybe, but who gives a shit? It's cool. All right. So understand that when you start learning it, it is about visualization and intention. Now, we talked about this last time, and I'm going to reiterate it as many times as I can. 1, Reiki cannot harm. 2, Reiki does not change you. 3, Reiki is channeled energy. It's not yours. You don't exhaust yourself by using it, and a lot of times you're going to end up feeling high or energized or whatever at the end of it. Now, I have some specific requests, and I don't know if my folks are watching or not, but I'm going to include everybody on my list anyway. shall remain nameless because it's none of your damn business. But what I would like to do is do a group healing real quick. And the way this works, give me just a second here. Anybody else who's watching right now, go ahead and, besides the, well, I mean, you might know who you are. Anybody else, go ahead and send me a quick message over here and I will include you on the list. This is just a real brief treatment to say, hey, this is what it kind of feels like. If you are not ready, you won't get anything. If you are ready, then you'll definitely get something. But it's really, really cool. And then we can sort of share in a minute what it feels like and what it looks like. I know there's a lag, so I'm going to give them just a minute to decide if they go on the list or not. But I'm also going to do everybody in the room. Everybody good with that? Okay. Mr. Steven? Okay. And here's why. I'm going to give a minute because I know that there's a couple of people on, obviously no names. It is absolutely the most important goddamn thing on the fucking planet that you behave ethically when you're using Reiki. Not because Reiki's going to be mad at you, but because I will find you and I will punch you in the dick. Do not work on people who have not given you their consent. If you are trying to use Reiki because for any sort of manipulative reason, it's going to shut the fuck off. By the way, that was two more. Okay? I will not be pleased. And Reiki will not punish. It doesn't really do anything like that. But it won't be, it just won't work for you the way you want it to. Okay. So, I am going to do, I don't have any fresh requests. James, Anthony, I don't know who else is on right now. My friends in Denton are already on the list because this was prearranged. Anybody else? All right. I'm going to do this thing. Huh? Devin? All right. Okay. So, hands down. Please don't cross your hands or your feet, please. Okay. If you have to, obviously, no choice, but as much as possible, try not to. And in this moment, I'm seeing each of the people kind of overlaid all in one. Because the fact is, we are all one. We're all connected. The beautiful, untalked about part of our free will is that we can be conscious of that oneness, or we can ignore it for a while. We are, after all, here having an individual experience. Okay. Open your eyes, take a nice big deep breath. Thank you so much for letting me share that with you and sharing that with me. That was very beautiful. Thank you so much. Very brief, very small. And now I'm going to tell you guys how I did it. I'm like the worst magician at all. I will totally reveal all my secrets. I love it. All right, here's a little Reiki feature, okay? When you're done working with people, you gotta cut the ties off because your energy is still trying to do the thing. Oh, wow, this is amazing. No, you gotta focus. We're here now, okay? Now then, here's how I did it. This is all stuff that usually comes with second degree, all right? And it's supposed to be very hush-hush. And you remember me talking about Mrs. Takata last time with the whole Reiki Coming to America and Reiki Alliance and all that other horse shit. So this is the Japanese symbol for Reiki. Okay, guys? All right, you see that? Pretty cool shit. You're going to see this, and you're going to see probably dozens of other interpretations, and they are all, the ones besides this, completely correct. It doesn't matter. The symbols, and before I show you the rest of the symbols, because I wanted to give you an idea of basically the sort of method they're going to go in. The symbols are only training wheels. If you can't figure out what the sensation feels like to activate each of these different modes of Reiki, that's fine. It's okay. That's why we have training wheels. Okay? That's fine. The first activation, the first symbol is called Chokurei. Chokurei. And it's the volume knob. Okay, so, and people like, oh, turn it this way, turn it that way, and it's going to change. But it's not, it works however you think it needs to work. And you're gonna see tutorials online for, oh, you have to draw it in this order and do it like this. And knock yourselves out, guys. It's fine, but if all you do is just visualize the symbol as in its entirety, that's fine, as long as it works for you and it creates the effect that you're looking for, okay? It's a volume knob. It says, I need to turn this up and really, somebody who's really exhausted, who's emotionally exhausted, somebody who's really emotionally drained, okay? Those are people who are going to use Chokurei, who are going to want to use Chokurei. Anything where you feel like you just need a lot of energy, and we'll talk a little bit more about different ways Reiki is used. This is the symbol of Chokurei, okay? You got that? Right, there it is, okay? That is Chokurei. This one has 3 arms to it. That's fine. I've seen some with 5. I've seen some with 2. I don't give a shit. Again, it's just a matter of how does this work for you, okay? What does a symbol invoke in you? Remember, the symbols are not an original part of Reiki. Were never an original part of Reiki. Asui Sensei developed them after the fact when he needed some sort of symbol to invoke in others what he was talking about. And he conferred and sort of meditated on this problem with Reiki to try to figure it out, okay? The second symbol is Seiheki, Seiheki, and it's the comfort symbol. I like to call it Godzilla loves us all, okay? Because I cannot look at this and not see a dinosaur holding us special and sacred and things like that, okay? Godzilla protects us all. Okay? This is the comfort symbol. This is the one we like to use with children and with pets. Anybody who's particularly anxious, anybody who has a really hard time winding down, anybody who's been through a really bad trauma or really bad grief, especially in the moment, that's what we want to use, is Seiki. It is, the way the symbol is drawn here, it's a sheltering, comforting, protective type of thing. Now, getting to the actual how did you do that, the third symbol is called Honsha Zishonen, Hon Shazezhen. Hansho Zishonen. Honsha Zishonen. Yeah, that's right. For my nerds out there, it's kind of like the TARDIS. It's the best way to describe it. I've had people imagine that it is 4 pillars to a moving temple. But it's the symbol that allows us to travel back and forth in time and in space. We are having a very material experience, and if you've ever done any sort of esoterica research before, you've heard of the term Maya, which means illusion, and it refers to our material world is not the real world. Well, it is the real world. It's just not the only real world, okay? So it's a distinction that I think is really, really important to grasp. Honsha Zishonen allows us to slip out of Maya, out of our material place, and into other different places. So it's what allowed my friend in South Africa to work on me in Wyoming when I was having an absolutely catastrophic meltdown. And I'll tell that story a little bit later. It's what allowed me to help my friend in New Jersey. Even though he and I had never met before in person, I needed to be there with him on a regular basis. And so I did that with him. Okay?
Well, you helped me while I was breaking down the car.
While you were breaking down in the car just last week with the boyfriend and
Oh, you used
yeah.
to.
Huh?
That too. Many
Yeah.
years ago.
Because and this is the beautiful thing about Reiki is Reiki is a fantastic skill to have, and I teach it first because it fits and works with every single other modality we're going to talk about. It loves to play. It's pretty powerful all on its own, no joke, but it is really, really good when it's playing with others. All right. So this is Honsha Zishonen, okay? Yeah, it's really complicated, and if you don't want to, you can pause it later on and go back and look at it and try to draw it if you desire. I don't give a shit. This is another one of those where if you go and you look for examples of it online, you're going to find 40,000 Brazilian different freaking variations of it. Because most of the people who draw it now aren't Japanese. They don't know what the heck they're saying. You could say egg rolls for all I know. 20% off. Shit. So, do what?
That one pop star got a tattoo in Japanese. It says small Japanese barbecue.
Yeah. Anyway. We're not going to shame people for their bad tattooed. Okay, maybe that one guy. But anyway. But that's not what we're talking about right now. So, these are the symbols, and have them, you know. Now I'm going to show you one last symbol, and this is the one that if I was going to get in trouble with any sort of Reiki group, this would be the one I get in trouble for. It's called Daikomyo, Daikomyo, and I couldn't find a big version of it, so we're just gonna have to show it like that. There you go. Okay. Daikomyo. There you go. All right. That's the master symbol. That's the symbol that allows you to attune other people to Reiki. It's also the one that sort of adds a different understanding and level to the first three symbols. Now, I recommend using them in order, you know, kind of learn how to turn it up and down, try to learn how to work with the energies and stuff like that, try to learn how to, you know, transfer back and forth, move, visualize yourself being with people before you do Daikomyo, because, and I'm not sure exactly how to describe this, but going to the master level is an initiation that is probably more powerful than even your first attunement. Your first attunement, a lot of people, it's a pretty intense experience. There's a lot of people actually who don't feel anything. Their first time, they're open to it, and they're like, yeah, I want to do the thing. And they're like, but they're so much in their head that they're like, they miss it. And then a few days later, they're like, whoa, shit, what the hell was that? And their hands are on fire, and they're like, oh my God, what the hell? So if I'm going to give these symbols to you right now, what the heck are you going to do hanging around for the second degree or the third degree? I'm glad you asked. Second degree and third degree attunements, I actually only do for people who are planning on using it in some sort of a professional sense. Even if it's not purely professional, if you're looking to work with other people, and I don't mean professional necessarily like I'm going to charge money for it. It means like this is part of my vocation. Like I'm an ordained minister. I use it all the fucking time as part of my practice. There's another one. See, it's just so natural. Sorry about that. I will do your second degree to help you get attuned to other people, to help you help other people without having to work to protect yourself from their energy. And that's really what second degree does. And then third degree is this whole taking attunements to other people, allowing them to, you know, receive Reiki all on their own. And there are lots of different types of attunements that you can provide to other people. There are Reiki senseis, teachers, and Reiki samas, who are masters. And a sama, in this particular case, Reiki sama is only someone who would perform healing attunements or would provide attunements for first and second degree students who have already received their attunements and they're not really doing the teaching part anymore. You know, they're not responsible for that part of the path. Sensei is somebody who is teaching, and it's a big responsibility, and there's room for both. But you don't have to be both. You don't have to be a Reiki master teacher. You do kind of have to be a master in order to effectively be a teacher. I mean, like that. But you don't have to be a teacher just because you got up to a master. And this is even more important, you don't even have to go to second degree if you're just using it for yourself. You don't have a responsibility to fix anybody but you. I know, crazy, right? But you don't. You can put yourself in that position and you can pursue that, but you don't have to. This is about self-healing, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I'll say this probably at least a dozen more times throughout this entire course. You can never be poor enough to help a poor person. You can never be sad enough to help a depressed person. And you can never be sick enough to help a sick person. You have to be healthy to help others. But sometimes you just got to be healthy for you. You know who deserves to be saved in this whole wide world? You do. Just you. Start with that. Don't worry about anything else until you got that handled, okay? All right. So, you got this one? Cool. At this point, do you guys have any questions? Does anybody in the room have questions? Okay. Yes, my love.
You mentioned earlier that Reiki was also for protection.
Yes. Okay, so you remember the bubble thing? With the bubble thing, Sehiki is a really good symbol to use in conjunction with that. But yeah, it was the bubble thing that was the protection that I wanted to talk about in particular. What we've noticed is that, and this has been reported multiple times, especially when somebody is a very giving soul and wants to heal and wants to help other people, people are just drawn to them like moths to a goddamn flame. I mean, it's a mess, and a lot of those people don't necessarily give a shit about the healer in question. They just know that there's energy there and there's care and there's love, and they just soak it up like a sponge and don't give anything back. These are people who are users, are toxic, also called emotional vampires. When you find yourself giving and 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 you don't get anything back, that's not cool. That's a one-way street, and that's not something that's terribly healthy, really. And we'll talk more about toxic relationships and how to deal with them in a very practical sense. But what I would encourage you to do is, when you have Reiki, to give yourself the option to set that bubble up. If you wonder if somebody is a toxic person in your life, the next time you hang out with them, give yourself a little bubble, give yourself a little space, and see how they react and respond. But while you're in that space, understand that you don't have to give them anything back. Never did in the first place. You don't owe them anything. Hey, can I have a drink from our sponsor? I mean, from our not sponsor. Could you get me one,
No,
please?
we don't currently have any Java mods.
Oh, no, I just want a regular one. Thank you.
Should have brought
No,
one,
but
and we'd
still.
have 3 different flavors.
Regular is
Regular, please. Thank you. Yeah, there's tons.
No, man. Orange one. I had a regular one.
We got a regular one in
So
there.
it's the Javas.
Yes, thank you.
What
Fantastic.
do you think we played first, Monster or Red Bull? We're not in X Games, probably not Red Bull.
Probably not. Yeah, this is.
What if you did the whole thing in roller skates?
I would die.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Never mind.
Stick with Monster. Red Bull will kill you faster.
It's
Yeah,
true,
so-
I drank
so to
5 in
explain
an
it-
hour and I died.
Yeah.
True story.
So to explain that whole thing, I
Sorry.
very frequently people go, "Oh my God, is there anything you can't do?" And I always like to say one of two things: one, ski through a revolving door, and two, roller skate. I'm pretty sure I have some sort of inner ear thing going on, because I can't roller skate or skateboard. Ice skating is, I can ride a bicycle,
Lucky.
but it's the bike that is doing the physics part, not my feet, so I'm good.
I'm not good at bikes.
Practice makes some. Anyway.
Practice makes skin neediness.
Right. Okay. So, I'm not seeing any questions or any comments pop up, so I'm assuming that nobody has any questions on the other side. Now let's talk about attunements, all right, a little bit more deep in depth, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to open myself up, and anybody who wants an attunement tonight, in the channel, in the chat, anywhere like that, should be receiving one. In the same way that that I just did the group healing, attunements can absolutely be delivered. Now, as you do this, there's a lot of mythology, we'll say, excuse me, surrounding what happens when you get an attunement. Where's my book? Because I blow them off so much, I forget what people think and what people say. What is it? So, oh yeah. Reiki itself, and I'm really sorry if I'm going to disappoint you here, but I got to tell you the truth. Reiki itself will not give you any type of psychic powers at all whatsoever. Sorry. However, if you are prone to intuitive awarenesses, it is not unheard of for Reiki to help and for that to become a little bit more enhanced. And if you consciously choose to call Reiki when you're looking for an answer, when you're trying to understand a problem, when you're throwing cards, using divination or anything like that, you will find that it is pretty much, it does help. It's a nice support system. Automatically finding your spirit guide, your spirit animal, your spirit Betty White is not going to happen. Betty White's not dead. She can't be a spirit. So, I cannot be a saint because you cannot be canonized until after you die. That's why I only have the patience of a saint. He was a doctor. They're in the garage. It's a long story. Anyway, not automatically going to find your guides. Not going to automatically get any of the extra whatever new age stuff. We don't do that. And there is I almost don't want to mention it because I don't want there to be a suggestion, but at the same time, I've seen people go and freak out and try to look at things online and end up worrying themselves into a shithole. Please don't fucking do that. That's dumb. So there was this idea perpetuated for a while called the 21-day cleanse. And what it said is that when you get your first attunement, you, in 3 weeks or so, you're going to end up with this catastrophic emotional, spiritual shitstorm as all your shit fucking leaks out of every orifice and you get sick and you, because your spirit's realigning and it's detoxifying itself and it's just, it's bullshit, honey. Okay? I want you to repeat after me. Correlation is not causation. Correlation is not causation. Correlation, by the way, not causation. Causation and correlation, not the same thing. Now, do you want me to spell it out for you, sweetheart? Correlation. C-O-R-E-L-A-T-I-O-N is not causation. C-A-U-S-A-T-I-O-N. Correlation is not causation. Now, I will tell you that a lot of people have had some weird and funky ass dreams, and that some people have had vague crises, if you will. The main one I think of is a lady I helped many years ago. She did her first attunement with me, I think she did a second attunement with somebody else and came out and got another second attunement with me. You can actually get all 3 levels of attunement however many times you want. It doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt it. It's not going to make it stronger. It's not. But some people like the experience because it feels really cool. But I think she had done the second attunement with me the second time. And then she, I guess about a week later, she called me and was like, I think that was finally the thing I needed, because I woke up and looked at my husband and said, what the fuck am I doing with this hamster? And it turns out she'd been in this really shitty, loveless, abusive relationship for a really long time. And are you okay, dear?
Yes, it's my rib.
You want me to amputate?
Which one?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Take some comfrey on it.
Don't
Yeah.
eat it.
Don't eat the comfrey. That's a terrible idea.
Does it taste bad?
Probably.
It's not good for your digestive system.
I just.
Don't look the science. Anyway, so she realized she had been struggling with whether or not this guy was worth it, and had had all kinds of problems, but she had been in denial for a really long time. And Reiki was just sick of her shit. And she just really woke up one day and realized that she had been addicted to, nice one. She'd been addicted to sentimentality, and they'd been high school sweethearts and all that other stuff, but it wasn't actually a healthy relationship. Now, did Reiki do that? Going over the 5 principles maybe, and realizing that not only should these be things that you follow, but kind of assess your friends and the people around you by the same thing. Not the same standard. Not everybody's going to do it the same way, but if you are with somebody who constantly worries, then how healthy is that relationship? You know, is that worry depleting the energy that they can spend with you? Somebody who's angry all the time. I mean, besides the obvious potentially physical dangers. Oh, excuse me. How is that energy being depleted? How is that energy being wasted on that, and not on building a positive relationship or having a positive, experience at work or whatever? Do you work honestly? If somebody's always mind is always somewhere else. And so this gives us sort of a gauge to say, what kinds of relationships do we want with other people? What kind of behavior do we expect from other people? Because it's a lot more than the golden rule, do unto others as you shall have them, and do, which by the way is a stupid fucking rule. Because it's completely subjective. And I'll get on that soapbox, well, right now for a minute. Think about it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, what if that guy's like a sadist? What if that guy's a masochist? Well, I hurt myself so I can hurt you. Well, I tear myself down all the time, so me calling you a fucking cunt is just like, ooh, I said the C word. Excuse me. I'm going to have to bleep that out later.
Fuck.
It's fine in the UK.
We're not in the UK.
Who gives a hoot?
You're not monetizing this.
Patreon.
Fuck you two.
Steven, no! Sorry, YouTube!
I love you, dear.
YouTube, you're fine! Except for some things. Tumblr, on the other hand.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at you, Tumblr. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you assumes that you're a good person. Assumes that other people are good people. Fuck that. Throw it out the goddamn window. Nobody needs that shit. Do unto others as you know is the right thing to do as a good person. Not what's going to get you into heaven. Not what's going to get you to Valhalla, which would be terrible because really that requires battle. Or I guess just technically dying with your sword in your hand. But I don't know if that's a requirement, but definitely with a sword in the hand.
It's the Iron Maiden limited edition. Oh, Valhalla.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Do unto others as you know is the right and respectful and compassionate thing to do. I'm not going to help. I am not going to expect somebody to help me up the stairs, but I'm going to help somebody else up the stairs. If I need help up the stairs, I might handle it in a different way. But if somebody else needs help up the stairs, I'm going to help them. I take the elevator. But I did. It's a true story. Years and years and years ago, there was a problem with my right leg and I couldn't walk. And much hilarity ensued. For like 6 months. It was terrible. Okay, so I think that's all the things that aren't going to happen. I don't care about that, but thank you for pointing it out. You're very sweet. Okay, so before we get to the nitty gritty meaty beady part of it, right? Here's the rest of it. In the original history of Reiki that we talked, and by the way, I found out some really cool things that just recently came out since I wrote Reiki Your Leaves. So it's going to be included in the updated version, and we're going to have some really cool extra pieces available through the Patreon, so that'll be awesome. In the original version of Reiki, there was no lineage, okay? Mrs. Takata and Phyllis Furumoto and all that other, and Reiki Alliance, they're very, very, very into the whole must be Grandmaster lineage, and we just don't buy into the bullshit, which is actually why, in honor of that, I am wearing my I Don't Know Kung Fu shirt. Because Kung Fu is a martial art, and that's what they were buying into, is that whole structure, and we don't do that shit. Okay? Cool. So, I am going to provide first degree attunements to anybody who wants it tonight. I'm going to do it the same way that I did the group attunement, and we're going to sort of do a visualization, and I'm going to open chakras and do all sorts of fun things. I will post on the Patreon, only on the Patreon, the updated copy of how to do self-attunements. Okay? And I can hear the Reiki Alliance grinding their teeth flat from here. They can kiss my butt. Bless you, bless you. Absolutely no one should be denied Reiki because they can't afford it. If you so desired, you could pursue self-attunement all on your own. You don't need my help. Asui Sensei didn't. Come to find out, he wasn't the first one who had actually been introduced to Reiki. And there were at least 4 other guys around the same time, and about 50 years before, that whole time span, who were practicing Reiki. And that's why his school specifically said Asui Reiki and not just Reiki. Did not know that. I love history when it unfolds and whole big thing about around World War II, when the Japanese lost, there was a whole bunch of materials about Eastern medicine and healing and things like that the American forces demanded be locked away and or destroyed. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we are only just now piecing back together as, America unclenches its butt cheeks politically. Or internationally, I don't know how you, whatever. Not a sponsor yet, but it does not matter how you get your attunement. If your intentions are pure and you're in a meditative state, which is kind of important, and I'm going to teach you a little thing to do with that right now to help you out. I swear to God, if that dog's going to start a ruckus right now, I am going to have a gorgeous, gorgeous, fluffy-ass rug. It's like he knows.
He's big enough now.
I will help.
All right. It doesn't matter where you get it from, as long as you get it. We're going to talk about meditative states. We're going to talk about very gentle self-hypnosis techniques. Now, for this next part, I'm assuming that everybody who's still with me is interested in an attunement. So please, if you can, post in the chat here that you're with me. Fantastic. I think James is the only other one that's in the live stream right now, unless there are people who aren't showing up on my counter. I mean, I don't really care.
Also, like Devin said, she was watching.
Okay, would you check and see if James is on or no, or if he had to leave or something? I mean, we still have like another half hour in class. We might wrap up early if I get too high, but because I get hard buzzed from this. It's one of the reasons why I'm drinking an energy drink right now. Is it's preemptive. You're not the one doing the attunement. You're fine.
I got nervous.
Oh my gosh.
Also, it's like my first caffeine today. So.
You know what? That is completely acceptable, sweetheart. I will not include you consciously on the list.
It's funny
You know, it's a real good thing I was stalling for a minute because I was right in the middle of about to do something really important. Is your brother medicated?
Yes.
Is his butt clean? Is he in pajamas? Okay, that second question's really, really fucking important.
So, change his bed.
Make sure that he is ready for bed properly. Give him a melatonin, please. And then, I have no idea what time it is. 8:30. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Totally fine. And like I said, even if you've had attunements before, totally acceptable to get it again. So no problem. Okay.
Is it like a tune-up?
That's what I've heard it described as.
Maybe more like salmon. It's kind of wiggly, kind of, you know, has that really nice kind of creamy mouth. She said tune-up. I, of course, went straight to tuna, but it's lighter than tuna. She doesn't like fish. I'm getting like the best look, the best face. It's amazing. The best face. Okay, so I'm going to assume that's all there is to it. It's not a big deal. Even if you're watching, if you don't want it, you won't get it. It's not. That's just the way it works. I'm going to be kind of curious though, because I've heard of this happening. Is people who watch a video of it later on and truly have that desire can still receive it at that point. Because remember, we use Hanshin Shonen, which is completely transcends time and space. It's literally the TARDIS of Reiki energy. So, of course, live stream is now, but at some point in the future, should you watch this video and go through this part and consciously desire to receive a Reiki attunement and feel like, hey, maybe something the heck is going on here, please comment, all right? If you aren't subscribed yet, please do so, because that helps me keep track of who's on and helps me tailor my audience. All right. So. Aramis, are you open to an attunement? Is it something you desire? Sarah?
Refresh me, yes.
Cassidy?
Okie dokie.
Stephen? All right, fantastic. Now, what I need for you guys to do is you're going to hold your hands together in front of your heart. This is called Ingasho. Okay? Now this is the part where you're going to be receiving sort of that meditative state. Now what I want you to do, hands, your feet flat on the floor. Please don't cross anything right now. And you're going to breathe. This is actually one of our sleeping techniques, but you're just going to do it twice. You're going to breathe in for a count of 4. You're going to hold your breath for a count of 7, and you're going to slowly breathe out for a count of 8. Okay? So and that should have a nice calming effect. And at this point, just breathe very gently and fully in through your nose and out through your mouth. You're using both your chest and your belly about equally. I'm going to give you a couple of nice deep breaths to work on that. All right. With your permission, I would like to share my Reiki with you. Please hold up your left hand, palm out. Return to Gasho. Please hold up your right palm out. Return to Gasho. Big deep breath. Open your eyes. Thank you so much for letting me share my Reiki with you. Big deep breath. All right, and put your hands down. Okay, there you go. Now, everybody take a nice big deep breath. Hold your hands out, palm up. Okay. Big deep breath and breathe out through your hands. In through the top of your head, out through your hands. You should feel like something significant. There's a sensation somewhere. Kat, seriously, she's a Reiki whore. Sorry. Yeah, the cat's like all over Aramis's hands, like, oh my God, I love this so much. This is my favorite hand. Best Reiki ever, because it's right here and I can put my face in it. Yeah, you're a Reiki whore, we know it. So I want you to think about what the sensation is, okay? What does it feel like to you? For me, it's like building up these awesome staticky balls of heat, but also kind of cool. Think like icy hot, except hotter than that. Yeah, it's got a very distinct color for me. Oh, all right, so you see that nice big buildup? I want you to feel that. Now, at this point, I want you to reach up, put it straight into your own heart. Because you are deserving of Reiki first. You are treating yourself with compassion and respect by understanding this is you. This is your healing. This is your Reiki. Okay? Yes, you're a Reiki whore. All right, come on. Oh my gosh, she's purring so hard. Meow. I know. This is, everybody, this is Her Royal Majesty Queen Mab, the Raven Fliffiness, first of her name, Mistress of the 12 Realms, Protectress of Purrs, and Guardian of Laps. Yes. Oh, and Conqueror of Dogs. Okay. Now, you can drop your hands. You're good. All right. So, let's start with you, Ernest. How does Reiki come to you? What does it feel like for you?
When it starts flowing, it's usually a warm, fuzzy glow. Goes straight to my head. Gets me kind of dizzy sometimes.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel in your hands?
When I do anything involving the hands, it's like cold fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the person or the group, it's really, really warm and I get sweaty palms.
Very cool. Does it have a color for you?
Only when it's the icy fire, and that's like a crystalline, very light white blue.
Nice. Very cool. How about you, Sarah?
Whenever it's in my hand, it's like hot breath.
Hot breath?
Hot breath.
It's a very nice way to describe it. How about you? Because this is your first experience. You picking anything up necessarily, or are you thinking it a lot?
It feels like a mild electric shock, but instead of tasting blue, it tastes green.
Legit? And Steven just popped out.
He's
Totally.
shy.
He is a little shy, and it's okay. I was actually going to give him the option or no. But obviously I've been using Reiki for a really long time. So as you use it more and more and more, you're going to find that it develops more of a language with you, and it will develop according to your language. So if you feel the most powerful in colors, if that's what resonates for you the best, that's what you're going to pick up, and that's the colors are going to develop and they're going to change. If you think in movie quotes or in scenes from a movie, that's another way. Do you want to share it with anybody, or are you good, Mr. Steven?
Good.
Okay. He's shy. It's okay.
You accidentally started my voice AI.
Shut up, Google.
It's not Google.
Whatever.
It's Bixby.
Stuff they Google.
Reiki does weird stuff with electronics sometimes.
Yeah. So a few fair warnings. All right. First of all, you'll notice that I'm not wearing my watch today because I knew that I was going to be doing this stuff, and I have fried 2 of them. That's not counting the ones that I fried before I got Reiki, but yeah, I learned my lesson a couple times. 2, and this is a really important one, and I want you to write this down. When ego goes, Reiki flows. It's a little bit of a misnomer, but when ego goes, Reiki flows. And what that means is if you're thinking too much in your head, you're not going to notice what's going on with you. Trust. It's really hard to do for some people, I know. It's a big part of what we're going to be talking about as a whole big thing throughout the entire course. But trust it, okay? When ego goes, Reiki flows. When I have really bad brain buzz and Reiki is turned on and I'm like, okay, I need to take care of this. And one specific time I can think of this happened, one of my kids was sick. I don't remember which one. I have so many. True story. One of my kids was sick, and I think I was probably getting sick too. But I'm sitting down with them. You know, they've already had their medicine. We're waiting for it to kick in, but they just feel so bad and they feel miserable. And I'm sitting there with them, you know, stroking their heads and trying to get them just like relax and just try to, you know, chill out. And Reiki turns on, and I'm sitting here worried, or trying to go through my head, like, did I do everything right? Did I remember everything? Did I get all my stuff? Da, da, da. Oh shit, Reiki's on. Oh, I wonder what Reiki's doing. Reiki. Shut up. Come on, Dawn, shut the fuck up. Mel, okay? So had to make, I went and did multiplication problems. Because I'm like, you know, Reiki's gonna do what Reiki's gonna do. And that's really important to understand. Reiki's going to do what Reiki's going to do, you know. Crazy, bizarre reference. Not sure if anybody has seen this movie, but The Last Unicorn.
My friend will love you forever.
Do you guys remember that scene in The Last Unicorn when the wizard is stuck to the tree? I was by myself during meditation. It was like being enveloped from the top down, brilliant light. I felt like it was floating. This time it was light and static. Nice. Very cool. My hands felt like cool running water. Awesome. I love it. I love it when it feels like that. That's one of my very, very favorites. That was Dante, by the way, who's been with us for a while. Started talking a little bit ago. And the final inspiration for making goddamn sure that this worked as a live stream. Yeah. So you guys remember the scene in The Last Unicorn where the wizard is tied to the tree, and he's, you know, and he's been trying to do this magic, and he just sucks. He's just the worst. But he's been following all of these books, and he's been following all of the you know, spells and everything like that. And finally he's just like, fuck it. Magic, magic, do what you will. Magic, magic, do what you will. And all of a sudden this crazy ass shit happens, and he does off the chart magic. It's amazing. That's what happens when you get your ego the fuck out of the way. Okay? There's two more. So she's on Benadryl, so I'm not fussing at her too much, but now I'm like thinking about it. I don't know how many it is though.
A lot.
Shut.
I'm not shaming you for it.
Kind of, a little bit. Doctor Strange also had to get out of his own way. But he did use a lot. I mean, he actually learned spells. And if you try to approach Reiki specifically as a magical practice, you're going to be really fucking disappointed. Because it's not a magical practice. Let me explain that real quick. The difference between a spiritual practice and a magical practice is that magic is usually much more ritualized. And I will use, I'll use the terminology a little bit interchangeably, but you can have a magical practice that is spiritual, but a spiritual practice should not be magical if it's meant to be purely spiritual. If that makes any sense. Reiki is purely spiritual. You can use it as an adjunct and as a support and as a booster for the other stuff that you do, but it's not magic in the systemic. No, that's not the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? Magical systems. Maybe systemic isn't. It's not that type of practice. It can help though, especially if you feel like you need help adhering to ethics, consent, knowing what's the right thing to do. But we're actually going to be talking a lot more about that in a later course or a later class, when we talk about accidental alchemy and conscious alchemy, because the name of the channel isn't it's not pretend, it's not a joke, it's not an accident, if you will. So yeah, I'm gonna be awake for about 6 days now. Thank you guys so much. Of course, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Share it with your friends. I deeply appreciate all of you tuning in for this. And again, if anybody does watch this at a later date, because of course this is live streamed on February 19th, 2019. My name is Dawn. This is Alchemy is Arts. The course is called Well Healed. We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/alchemias, ALCHEMIAS. That's if you want to, show your support, which we would greatly appreciate. Because I don't really want to monetize or put advertisements on this channel. I think that's going to be a real problem. But I like food. It's my weakness. Like every day, even it's just the worst. No, I know you guys will take care of me, no problem. But definitely, if you guys watch this a little bit later and you go through the process of the attunement, you watch through that and you follow through, and you follow my instructions, and you feel that you have received Reiki, please, by all means, comment. Let me know, because of course all of those are dated. Put the date in there just the same, because sometimes it just says so much, so isn't completely focused on relation is helping you heal, and you keep getting distracted. So I'm not sure about that context. Is there any way to pull that back up? Let me see. What happens if somebody isn't completely focused on Reiki, if someone's helping you heal and you keep getting distracted? Now, I'm not sure if you mean that like while you're trying to receive an attunement. I imagine if you're trying to receive an attunement, you really shouldn't be focusing. You get easily distracted. It is known. It doesn't take very long. If you're trying to get an attunement, that's all you're focused on, and that's something that you're prepared for. I mean, it's not like you. I don't know if it's possible to get accidentally attuned to Reiki. You kind of have to invite it in. Consent is a very, very big deal, right? Especially with something like this, because it is something that's very personal, and more than that, it's very, very intimate. So if you're at the point where you feel like you need the attunement, your attention's going to be there. It doesn't take very long. It's going to be there. And it's kind of hard to fuck up. It really, really is. It either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, it's because you didn't want it, not because you got distracted. Okay? When ego goes, Reiki flows. Okay? And what are your assignments? How does the attunement feel? Right? First of all, how did receiving a treatment feel? How did the attunement feel? And you guys remember the first one? Were you here for this? I don't remember.
Are you talking our first assignment today or the last session?
The first assignment today.
Imagining life without traumatization.
Yes. Identify your trauma, and now a trauma. It doesn't even have to be the big one, just a trauma. And imagine what your life is going to be like without that driving, without that being part of your life. Crazy stuff. Okay? All right, am I forgetting anything?
Did you want people to turn their homework from last time?
Oh yeah, I am still waiting for your homework from last week, guys, by the way. Does anybody have any homework to show from last week?
No, I wanted to double check with you on what that was.
Okay. It's not a big deal. It's something that has to be shown specifically in this format. But definitely make sure to contact me and get it to me some way or another, so that I can mark it down on your chart if you are going for the actual certification. It's not a certification, it's a certificate of completion, but it's going to come with some really kick-ass perks at the end of it, okay? All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. I deeply, deeply appreciate you joining me on this fun little journey. Subscribe, of course, like, comment, let me know what you thought, because you are so welcome, dear. Because, you know, it's not just for you. When you comment, you're leaving messages for the future and the other people who are going to find this as they go on. Now, I'll have more information about the Patreon and all the cool things that are going to be a part of that here pretty soon. And just keep a lookout for that. But in the meantime, I think we're done here. And I